Hello and welcome back to the Listening to Your Gut podcast. I am super pumped because we have got an awesome guest today that I just recently met. Rachel Hills is here with us today, and the neat thing about how we met was through actually a Friday Wins call. Both have a mutual friend, Abby, and from that call, we just struck up a friendship, and here we be on the podcast together. So I'm super excited to have Rachel on today. She is also a fellow podcaster, and we're going to talk about a really cool topic that we haven't discussed on the podcast yet. So welcome, Rachel. How are you?
Hi, it's awesome to be here. I'm good. It's been a busy weekend going into the week, so I'm excited to share some info and just be on the podcast. This is my first time as a guest speaker on a podcast, so it's a different angle of it. As Kelly said, I do have my own podcast called This Is Me Attitude Podcast, where I talk about my faith. So it's a little bit different aspect now coming on to someone else's.
I love it. And I was just telling you that I was listening to one of your semi-recent episodes that was titled Your Worth is Not in Your Work. And gold. Loved it. So yeah, definitely go and check out Rachel's podcast. I'll make sure that everything is linked for you in the show notes. But Rachel, we're going to talk about a really cool subject, which is water today. For those that don't know, we are made of 60 to 70% water. And so it's part of our being, right? Like we need it in order to survive, clearly. So I'm really excited for you to share about this water ionizer that you use that is part of your business that is super incredible. And so I think the best way to start this would just be for you to share how you found this water, and just tell us why it struck you, like what it's done for you, and then we'll just dissect all the things. We'll pick it all apart. But like tell me how you found it, how you came across it, and why you were so drawn to it, and what it's done for you.
Yeah, that's perfect. So to back up a little bit, my online business is a high ticket affiliated marketing business. That's a whole lot of words to say that I do sell the water ionizers because the water ionizers are the high ticket item. And with that being said, what the water ionizer does is that you hook it up to your faucet of like regular tap water and it just sits next to your sink on the counter. And then the tap water will go into the machine and go through a electrolysis process. It's a bunch of fancy words to say that it gets charged and that it'll come out as electrically reduced water. So if you were to look it up, that's what you would want to look up is electrically reduced water, because if you were to go based off of the company's name that I affiliate with, is called the Nagic, and they title it Kangen Water, you wouldn't get any scientific info on it. So that's a little bit of the science part of it. And for listeners that want more on that, I can go into detail further on, or if you want to reach out individually, because I know that not everybody is in love with science. And I honestly, before finding the water, did not like science at all. And I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm a human and I know how I work, and that's great. So, but to explain how I got into it, so previous of this business, I was in a low ticket MLM, a Beachbody coach. I have been really into my health since I was little. I was a 3-sport athlete in high school, and then I went into college as a cross country runner. So being athletic and being fit has always been something that's been in my life. And then I got into being a Beachbody coach because I saw the light there, I guess you could say, and how great it is to be fit and to be able to build a business on it. And then I didn't see the success there that I wanted to. And I actually reached out to someone that I thought would be good for my team in that. And she kind of turned the script on me and I was like, wait, have you ever heard of this water ionizer? Have you heard of this business? And I was like, wait, what are you talking about? Like, I've never heard of this. Like, at that point, I thought water was just water. Like, you just get it out of your tap and you're good to go. And she explained, she was like, well, no, it's not really. Water is different where you look and where you go, because there's actually a lot of chemicals and different things that could be in tap water that you want to test. And then she showed me the business side of it too. And she was like, with it being a high ticket, like you would make more per sale and all the different things there. And I was like, whoa, like it was literally like a huge light bulb moment. I was just like, this is mind blowing. Like I'd never even realized that this was an aspect. And then That's when my boyfriend and I at the time decided to fully invest into it. And then I got the water ionizer and then the shower system that the company also sells. And between those two, it has been life changing, for lack of better words. I know that a lot of people like use that term life changing, and I don't want to say it lightly, but it has, because to go a little bit into like personal info, before I found the water, I had to take low blood pressure medicine because I found out at my freshman year of college that I was fainting, and they couldn't figure out why I was fainting. I would just all of a sudden be on the floor. And obviously, that's not a good thing to have. And the doctors are like, okay, well, it's low blood pressure, so you'll have to take this medicine. And I've had different health issues throughout. Like I have celiac and different things like that. So I was like, okay, like it's medicine that I have to take for a short period of time. Like I'll get through it. It'll be fine. And I had to go to so many specialists. I went to a heart specialist. I went to like a blood doctor specialist. And they're like, no, like you have to take this for life. And I was like, oh, great. Like that's fantastic. I don't want to have that expense or take medicine for the rest of my life. So then to fast forward, when I found the water, I started taking it and noticed that it was helping like my skin and different things like that. And then I noticed I took like a week off of the taking the medicine, and the water completely replaced it. So I no longer have to take that medicine due to the water. So it's really exciting.
That is super cool. And I love how it's helped you overall, like just feel better in terms of your quality of life and clearly of living, right? Because you now don't have to take this medication that you were told by multiple doctors. Yeah, you've got to take this for life. You're like, "Mm, no, not anymore. I'm not." So
Yeah.
yeah, like just showing them, I love that. That's incredible. So I would love to, I know you said that you weren't one to always be into the science behind the water or just in general in any type of, science related to health per se, but I would love for you to share a little bit more about the science behind the water. Like what makes this different? Of course, we know, like you said, tap water has so many chemicals in it and which is why there's a lot of filtration systems out there and such. But what makes this water ionizer different from just, let's say, regular filtered water, right? Like that's going through a filtration system. I think that would be really cool to share the difference between those two.
Yeah, so actually that's a really common question and a good question to ask, because not many people realize that there is a difference. So with that being said, the huge difference is that with the water ionizer, or K8 is the name that the company gives it. So if I use that interchangeably, that's what I'm talking about. And so when it goes into the K8, it gets filtered. So there is a filtration system within the K8, and then it gets charged because it goes through 8 titanium metal plates. So that's the difference there, is that in any other filtration system, it's just getting filtered. It's not actually getting changed to the molecular level of the cells of the water, because then once it gets changed on the molecular level, it changes to hydrogen rich water, which is where you'll get more and more of the benefits, which that's another area that you can research yourself by just typing in hydrogen rich too. I really recommend PubMed is a good area to look, just because if you were to do like a regular Google search, you could, it's kind of a crapshoot for lack of better words. um, so yeah, so that is the biggest difference, to where in the water ionizer it gets filtered out of different chemicals such as chlorine and different things like that, which just in the fact of saying that chlorine could be in your tap water, I think is disgusting.
Yep.
And then so it goes through the filtration system, and then it gets charged into the different pH levels. And then the other awesome aspect of the water ionizer is that there is 5 different types of water that it can come out of the machine. So that means that it will take your drinking water, it will replace all cleaning products that you can have in your home, because it has an acidic water that will do all the cleaning for you. I use it as a face wash. There's multiple different things that it can do. There's like a list of, I think, about 65 to 100 uses that people have used it for. So it really has changed the game, so to speak, in drinking water, and then also in the home, because it will save you money in the long run. It is an investment when you first start, but as you keep going and see how much it can replace, it really is helpful.
I love that. And I love that you shared with me recently some really awesome videos that I watched. And the cool thing, I'm such a visual person. And one of the cool parts of the videos that you sent me was when the water was going through the process of ionization, there were like two cups. One was the like the, I guess, discharge, if you will, like the acidic water that was coming out, and then the other was like the water that you're going to drink, the alkalizing water. And so you could see like the difference between the colors of the two, and it was just really cool to see that, because someone from who's had the I guess training, if you will, and the schooling to become a holistic nutritionist. I know how important it is to have an alkalizing diet, right? Because the more acidic we eat or consume, things that are acidic, the more disease we start to develop in our body. And so it was just cool to really see that visual component of it and think like, wow, like you truly are ingesting, consuming this incredibly rich water that is super alkalizing. So I love that.
Yeah, no, that's exciting for me to hear because I'm a big visual learner myself. So when somebody is like, "Oh, write these notes and this and that," I'm like, "You're giving me zero information and it's not helping."
Yeah.
So the fact that I can relate to people with having the visual learning and showing the videos has been really helpful because there is a ton of other people that have this water ionizer and that are selling them. So it's more of like, I don't want to recreate the wheel if somebody else has it.
Yeah.
And the other thing I did want to mention is when you talk about alkaline water and alkalized,
Yeah.
um, there, if you were to go to like a gas station, you would see different water bottles that have like alkaline water, and they make it look like it's the greatest thing ever and really healthy for you, which it can be, but you really don't want to drink anything out of plastic water bottles because the plastic will absorb into your water. And so an example of that is if you leave a plastic water bottle in the car for a few hours and you come back and take a drink of it and you have that weird taste, you're literally drinking plastic.
Yeah.
And I just don't think many people realize that, because I didn't realize that until I came into this business and was watching training videos about the water. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that is so gross.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there's that aspect. And then the other thing I was going to mention is that with those water bottles that you were to get at a store or gas station, they change the pH level by adding more and more minerals to it, or chemically, which the difference between that and the water ionizer is the water ionizer does it electrically. And that's actually healthier, because then if you're adding too many minerals, then you can go into like comatosis, and like that's where you go into more of like the disease aspect of it. So you really don't want to be adding that to your body, because your body's not going to understand that it's too much, and it's going to try to absorb all of it.
I'm glad you mentioned that. And yeah, that was the first time I heard the plastic bottle scenario, was in holistic nutrition school. And I was like, oh my gosh, like again, like all of this stuff, I'm like, why has no one ever said these things to us? Like, why am I waiting to find out until I'm like in my 20s and 30s? It's like it's outrageous. But I'm so glad that you're here to spread the awareness, and that we can continue to keep like sharing the importance of just truly knowing like where your water's coming from, what it's contained, what kind of container it's in really does make a difference. Because again, like to your point, when were we going to learn this? Like they're not sharing that in school. That's like, that is, most people like teachers don't even know that too. And I'm a teacher. Like the only reason I know that is because I've, learned it through other avenues. But yeah, that's incredible. So I guess another question I have would be, you had said the water ionizer can take on many forms in terms of like drinking water, but then you said you also have one for your shower. So tell me more. I'm curious about the shower one. Like, tell me more about the importance of the shower ionizer, and like, I guess also how that works in terms of like, is an easy install? Are both of them an easy install? All that type of stuff.
Yeah, so it's actually for the shower. It's a completely different system. The company calls it an Anespa, and what it is that it has a shower head hooked up to it, and then it has the like metal pipe to go down to the actual machine that filters out your tap water or whatever source water you have, and then that will make it to where it's just like having a spa in Japan. And I say Japan because that's where the company is located, and that's where all of these machines or products are made by hand. The actual pieces are made by a like factory, but then they're put together by the same person by hand. Each single machine is. So you're when it goes through the assembly line, there really isn't a huge assembly line. It's one person putting that entire K together to make sure it's perfect for you, and then they ship it out to you. So
Wow.
just that aspect to it really shows how much the company cares. The company is also 50 years old, so you can tell that they've been through a test of time and like have stood through a lot of different things. I didn't really mean to go on a whole tangent about that, but that just kind of led
Love
into
that. Yeah.
it. So yeah, so with the shower system itself, there's two different filters in there. There's the inner cartridge filter, and then there's a filter that goes around that filter. So it has two different steps that it goes through to completely clean it out to make it just like you're in a spa. With that being said, if you were or listeners were to purchase either of the K or the Nespa, which again the Nespa is the shower unit and the K is the actual water ionizer, the filters do need to be replaced every 6 months to a year. That's something that I didn't realize when I first got it. And then my machine is like, you need to replace it. And I was like, oh, crud. Okay. Like, learning lesson, I guess. So that's one of my biggest things is I like to tell everyone, just because then that's making sure that the machine is running to its highest quality it can. And then another aspect I can add about both of the machines, especially the water ionizer, these are built to last for years and years and years. They've been shown to last anywhere from about 15 to 25 years, depending on how well you take care of it. Obviously, it's up to human discretion because we're all different and all of that. And then I also did want to mention that even though I have said all of this about the water and I have my own testimonials and I know a bunch of people that have testimonials, like it is different per human because every human is different. So we can't make any like huge claims about it. And so that's just kind of a disclaimer in there as well.
I love that. You took some of the questions right out of my mouth. One of my next questions was going to be, how long does the machine last? And that's incredible. I mean, that's a significantly long time. And then I love the research also. I'm going to go back to the research that you shared with me, the videos. Like you said, that it's created in Japan. And I remember hearing in one of the videos how Japan is one of the most strict in terms of, quality, in terms of how machines are put together and specifically this water ionizer. And so I just think it's so cool that like you can see through all the test of time, like you said, 50 plus years, that this machine has truly stood the test of time, but is so darn like quality driven, right? It's so high quality, which is just, it's awesome to see. And it's I think it's something that I feel we're going to see, a lot more, or at least I hope to see a lot more in people's homes, because with the way, I mean, just normal groundwater and such that we have in our areas, it's kind of gross to walk outside and see a pond that just looks absolutely disgusting, or to walk by, a stream and like smell just like these awful smells. It's like, yeah, that crap is going, through your tap. And then if you are not doing something with it, like that's what's in your body, and
Mhm.
oh, it just that creeps me that creeps me out. So I love, gosh, I love what you're doing. Okay, I guess my next question would be, how does one, next steps in contacting you, how does one get ready to make that commitment to the water ionizer?
Yeah, so that's a great question. The best way to reach out to me is I'm the most frequent on Instagram, and my handle for all social media is Rachel Fun Hills. So you can find me there. And the first step that I'll have you go through is that we'll kind of talk about what your needs are, where you're thinking, and how soon or how not soon you want to make the purchase. And then the next step would be to jump into what we call our discovery process as a community. And all that means is that it's a website to where you have all the information you could need about the water and about the business side of it. Because I want to make sure before you make the investment that you are 100% sure that you want this and that you like it, because it will give you all of the science that you want and all of the like research behind it. It will also give you different areas that you can look in and do further and further research, because you could honestly do research about this water forever and ever, because they're still doing studies about it. And then at the end of that discovery process, we have a Zoom call that you would get on with either myself or someone else in the community to answer every and all questions that you have about either the water or the business. And then as for myself, when I went through this process, I actually had two different 30-minute Zoom calls with my upline coach. And I asked all of the questions because I was super skeptical. I was like, wait, what does this mean? What is that? What is this? So, like, we're very used to people coming in and being like, are you sure? Like, is this really water what you're saying it is? So don't feel shy about that. Ask all of the quote unquote dumb questions because I've either asked it myself or somebody else has, and I will make sure that we find the correct information to give you. So yeah, so that is the first part of the process. And then after that, we figure out the financing options of the machine because the machine is a little bit of an investment. It's about 5,000 depending where you're at in the world because it is a world company, so you can buy anywhere. And then we will either look at the options with the company itself has in-house financing, or there's different ways of buying it as well. So
Gotcha. I love that. And so with that, I love that there's an option, like you said, you have it for yourself, but then you also have made that a business for yourself too. Is there ways, let's say someone's listening in and they're like, I'm interested in purchasing it, but I don't want to do the business part. Is there ways for women to do that too? I'm assuming.
yeah, yep. So you'll essentially go through the same process. You won't have to do the business part of it, or if you don't want to watch the business videos in the discovery process, you don't have to do that. So the way that Enagic has everything set up, whatever machine or product that you buy comes with a distributor ID. So that comes regardless. So maybe later on you want to become a distributor, you will have that ID and then you can go from there. I highly recommend everyone just seeing what is possible with the business before they completely write it off, because with it being a high ticket product, you make a lot more per sale, which is really nice. And that they do have, in my opinion, one of the best compensation plans in the world because it is a patented plan. And with it being an older company, they have seen the ups and downs and like the gimmicks and all of that. So there is a different way of going about it as well if you don't want to do the business, because I don't want to feel like anybody's pressured into doing that because it is a business and takes work to do that. So there is just the aspect of doing it for your health and just buying the machine.
I love that. And I think, it probably would be natural for someone to, if they, at least if they didn't start out wanting to do the business side of it, I'm sure over time, seeing the benefits of it, how could you not want to be like, hey, I'm shouting this from the rooftops. This is friggin' incredible. You need to try this, right? So, I mean, like, it's your own testimonial that's going to, engage other people and pull them in to say like, whoa, what is this? Like, do I need to try this? I think I do. So yeah, I love that. Rachel, this has been incredible. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing this information. I'm super excited about it. I'm super, invested in learning more about it. And I feel like a lot of the women that listen in are going to feel the same way. So I know you said that women can connect with you through social media. I know you shared with me the link that has all your links to connect to all the different places to find you. So I will put that in the show notes. So just thank you again for coming on. I so appreciate it. And just such a cool topic to focus on, and I really hope that the women listening in really take some aha moments away from this of like, wow, my water isn't probably as clean as I thought it was, and just really provokes some more research and learning about the water in your area, because like you said, it's shocking what we're finding in just the run-of-the-mill tap water that's coming out of our sinks and faucets. It's scary.
Yeah, it really is. And I do want to mention that it does depend on where you're at in the world of how like great or not great your tap water is. And you can do different researches on that. I know specifically for the US, because that's where I'm at, that it has like you can research it per state what the water looks like and what the levels are. And then the other thing I wanted to kind of close out with is that your health is the number one thing, like period, end of story in your life. If you do not have your health, you can't go do your to-do list. You can't go do your job. Like, and having this water and drinking it day in and day out and talking about it has really put that at the forefront of my brain, realizing that like if I didn't have my health, I can't keep doing everything else that I love in life. And that's talking about the water and doing all the other things. So I hope that that can be kind of a takeaway that someone else takes as well.
Yes. Boom. Mic drop. I love it. I love it. Well, again, Rachel, thank you so much for coming on today. It was an absolute pleasure to have you on as a guest. And I just so appreciate all the information that you shared with the audience today. So thank you.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.